afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sherrard, the television show. I am your host, Sherrard. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. I know for me, I am so excited. I'm almost back flipping in my chair, ladies and gentlemen, because I have musical royalty in the building here in the Sherrard Show. We're so excited to have him on the show. We have a gentleman that is actually Motown. He's responsible for bringing in the biggest names from the songs that you hear today, from the Four Tops, the Temptations, Martha and the Vandellas, Smokey Robinson, you name it. This man was responsible for it. And we're going to be talking to him momentarily, the legendary Mr. Mickey Stevenson on the Sherrard Show, as well as talking about his fabulous book as well. But before we begin, the Sherrard Show is brought to you by Pure Essence Television, where you can see the greatest episodes of your life, from Smokey Robinson to Joe Montega to Melissa Manchester to Jim Gilstrap, Mel Carter, and many more. Just tune in to Pure Essence Television right there on your monitor, and you can see the greatest episodes of your life. And if you enjoy Sherrard, the television show, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can also see it on Airy TV. Just follow the link on your monitor, and you can see me with a Jerry curl. You can see me with a conch. You can see me with all the different hairstyles, because it goes way back, ladies and gentlemen, to the early days of the Sherrard Show. And then also, if you missed this broadcast on television, you can listen to it on iHeartRadio. Just click on the link there, and you can listen, smile, and drive. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we had the Manhattans on the show last Monday. We recently had Mel Carter, Harlem Dozier, and Dozier. But now we have a gentleman who I've just read his book. This is one absolutely fantastic book. I've just read it cover to cover, and I'm going to read it again. It's called Motown's First A&R Man, and it presents Mr. Mickey Stevenson on the Sherrard Show the first time. Mickey, thank you for taking the time out this Sunday afternoon. Welcome to the Sherrard Show.
Well, it's a pleasure being here, my brother. And some of the artists that you've had on your show, I mean, you've touched them all. That's incredible.
And it's
a lot of great stories there.
And we're going to jump right into it. But now, Mickey, first of all, let's talk about your book. Your book is a 10 plus. And I'm not just saying it because you're here. The reading was excellent. The writing was excellent. And your way you told the story was like I was watching a movie. Was that something planned?
Well, my daughter, who passed, she helped me to, she said to me, Dad, write it like you talk. Don't write it like other things you've read. Write it like you talk. And then it'll have an original feeling to it. So that's what I did. And every time I wanted to get proper with the book dialogue, just like that, she said, she'd read that page, said, that's not you. Please, Dad, rewrite this like you're talking to me. I said, okay. Once I got into the flow of it, it felt more comfortable because I could say it like it absolutely happened, not make it up, just make words where you can understand. I'm going to say it like it happened. If you get it, you got it. If you don't, you better read it again.
well, your mission was accomplished because I got it. And I was in your shoes from the streets of Detroit to Los Angeles to flying down to everywhere you went, I was there. And that's how it was. I guess that's how you meant it, because it was a fabulous ride. Now, my question to you, let's start off from the beginning. You got into the industry, but you started off, first of all, as a hustler in Detroit. Tell us a little bit about your story.
A hustler. That's pretty good. I worked with entertainers, musicians. And what I did was, I kind of backed into this. I knew a lot of the guys, musicians, because Clarence Paul, what you heard about him down in the book, he and I used to we were the Sam and Dave around in Michigan. We'd be in the clubs doing duets. He got me to sing with him because I was a jazz singer, jazz and pop. My mother was a jazz singer with the Todd Rhodes Band, orchestra, and all that. So we had I had a different look at this ball game. When I got with Clarence Paul, he got me into singing the blues. Clarence Paul could turn any song into a blues. Anyway, we traveled together. And with that, what was that question again you asked me? I got into Clarence.
Well, how did you get into the music industry? Because I said you were in the book you mentioned you were a hustler.
Yes. Now, when I got into when I stopped working with Clarence, I happened to know all the musicians. So in knowing them, they would come up to me sometimes, say, man, can I borrow, $50, blah, blah. I say, borrow $50, man, you just work at the gig. This is a payday. He said, man, but they took money out of from my drinks, and they took money from my sandwich. And by the time I finished, man, I'm short. I said, let me ask you a question. They're giving you something to eat and then charging you for it while you sit there from 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the morning? He said, yeah. I said, and your drinks? He said, yeah. I said, well, that's not fair. He said, well, I can't do nothing about that, man. Could you just let me have money? I said, hold on. Let me go down there and talk to them about getting you your money, because I want to be able to pay me back. If they're doing that to you, you can't pay nobody back. So he said, you gonna handle it? I said, yeah, I'm gonna handle it. So I went into the club, talked to the owners. I said, why are you charging this guy for some of these chitlins and all that, and your steak and your chops? You ain't giving them none of that. And you charge them for this little side stuff, hot dogs, and then you're charging them more than you charge your regular customers. And then you can't even get a Coca-Cola, but you want them here at 9 o'clock and play till 2 in the morning. I say, I think that's a little unfair. And he said, yeah, but they don't show up on time, and sometimes you do this, and he had a lot of excuses. I said, hold it, I'll tell you what. I'll guarantee you that they'll be here on time, do the job. You see to that they eat once or twice, no less than that. Make sure they have a drink, not your alcohol, but, Coke, 7-Up, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And you give them all their money. He said, well, how you going to guarantee that? I said, if it don't work, I'll pay you. He said, okay. I said, hold it. Now you give me 10%. He said, 10%? I said, listen, I'm going to see to it that they're there, and if things going to work, you give me 10% of the deal. He said, if they don't work, do I get a replacement? I said, I guarantee that too. He said, okay, you got a deal. So I got my man his money. I didn't have to loan him $50 or whatever. He told another guy, and they told another guy. And all of a sudden, different musicians come up to me. Hey, William R., they call me. William R., you got to help me, man. Blah, blah, blah. I heard what you did for so-and-so. Could you work with me? And I said, now, I didn't work with every musician because some of them couldn't play. So for them to have a gig, that's a great thing to start with. but, yeah.
Now, Mickey, your book it had me laughing. It took me in a lot of different emotions because, I love the story, and we're kind of just going chapter to chapter just for a bit.
All right.
But one thing that I love so much, first of all, was your relationship with your mom, how you spoke so fondly of her, and how she encouraged you, but not just you, but your brothers as well, because they were talented in their own way. And she encouraged them, and she was a wonderful person. Tell us a little bit more about your mom.
Oh, my mom was great, man. My mom didn't smoke, she didn't drink, none of that. She sang, she wrote songs, and she played congas, and she danced. And between that and the Lord, that was it for her. Which was terrible for me, because we had to go to church on Sunday all day, sometime during the week, go to Bible classes. I'm talking about, I had to find ways of how to get out of it, not going in it. You know what I mean? I became very good, because what I would do is she would see me studying. She said, why are you studying? So we got Bible class. She said, well, you studying? I said, yeah, so I can answer the questions and all that. Now, my plan was, let me be the first one to answer the questions so I can get out of here. So in order to be able to answer the questions, I got to study, right? And sure enough, I would be by no more than the third person. And when the teacher would ask questions, they get to me, my hands were going like this. I can't wait to get my hands so I can get out of there, right? And so she kept me in tune all the time. And she was wonderful. I remember when we were going to sing, we had a trio, the three of my brothers and I. And we were like about 10, 12, 13 in that area. And she said to me, I'm going to take you to the Apollo for the contest. And I said, to Apollo in New York? She said, yeah. Now we're in Detroit. So the Apollo was always just huge for us. And back in that day, that was it. And I said, for the contest. And she says, yes, and you're going to win. She was one of those, that's the way she talked about whatever it was she was doing. And she said, now you got to practice. And whatever you want to do, if you want to be good at it, you got to practice it. And whenever you did something wrong, don't get upset about what you did wrong. Say, I know not to do that anymore, and learn how to fix it. Now you're getting information and knowledge. Now, those were the seeds she planted in my head and my brothers. And sure enough, we got to the point when we made the wrong line or some the wrong thing or made the wrong spin. Instead of getting upset about it, turn around and do it again. They'll say, well, can we make a different kind of spin, Mom? Because this one ain't working. So we're just an example of how we developed that at that age. So she takes us to the Apollo. Now, we were in the stage in there, and everybody knew her. So we're standing backstage by the curtain while the different artists are coming on and getting snatched off. They had the guy with the hook and the big old shoes on, you know.
Oh no! Oh, the classic
Oh
team.
God, he was scared to death. Artists be singing, and they make a couple of mistakes. Here he come out with this big old hook, these long shoes on, hat hanging off the side of the head, snatch that hook around you, put it around your waist, and dance, pulling you off the stage. Now, that was frightening. I said, Mom, she says, don't worry about that. He's not going to hook you off the stage. You're going to win the contest. Well, hearing those words is one thing, but watching this go down is another. Anyway, we go on to do our song. And sure enough, we did everything she taught us to do. Not only the song, but you got to be entertaining, which was another thing I learned at that age. So when we sang the song at a certain point, my brother, youngest brother, would drop to his knees, put his hand together like a prayer, and he said, and that's the reason, baby, I love you. When he hit that note, the audience went crazy.
Now, Mickey, you were mentioning in your book that your youngest brother was known for being very shy. So when he did that, that was more out of fear for not, having a guy with the cane come.
Right. Yeah, fear. But the training stayed with him. You follow me? It's okay to be afraid of something, but do all you can to learn how to handle it. And all of a sudden, it's not the same kind of fear. You got it?
Yes,
you know what I mean? You're out of working with something, you can do something, right? Because you got it down. You're afraid of, am I going to do it all right? Don't let that bother you. Do the part you got right. You got it?
Yes, sir. Now, and for those who are just tuning in, we're speaking to the iconic Mr. Mickey Stevenson for the first time on the Sherrard Show. Talking about his wonderful book. You've got to purchase this book. It's available on Amazon, correct?
Yep.
And wherever fine books are sold, and we're talking more about it. Now, Mickey, the story of when you met BG, as you call him, which is Berry Gordy, in your book, was very interesting, but even more so, how the interaction happened, because you could sing, but he didn't think you could sing good enough to be an artist at Motown. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, in Detroit, all the guys and the artists that came in to perform, you wanted to get your hair fixed. In those days, we wore the waves, the waves be so deep you could put a boat on them, you know what I mean?
The conch.
The conch. Well, everybody was there. Now, Benny Mullen, who was the conch master in our area, everybody that was entertaining or in the business went to him. And so he had a 2-chair shop, but he had everything in it. He had chess boards, checkers, he had phones, because when you come in, he wanted to keep you busy while he's doing hair so nobody can get away. He don't lose no business. He was good too. And so he would tell, hook people up while they're talking. He would do other hair and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he told Berry about me handling the musicians, and because all the musicians would get their hair done. He say, man, that Mickey Stevenson, he got under control. You got to get with him. And Berry, and then he told me about Berry. He said, man, this is the guy that did the Jackie Wilson records. I say, he wrote those, produced those for Jay. He said, yeah, man, you're a singing artist. Now Benny's just selling a bill of goods for his business. But he was giving you the right information. So I'm there, and Berry's there. We in his 2 chairs. I'm in 1 chair. Mine is being drying off, and he's doing the thing on Berry's head. And Berry said, man, I heard about you. He said, we got to talk. He said, I'm going into finish this album on Jackie Wilson. As soon as I get back, I want to have a meeting with you. Now I'm excited because this is my opportunity. He's producing Jackie Wilson. Oh, man. I said, okay. I said, you need more songs? He said, well, I got some songs for me. I say, man, I got a couple of songs be great for me. I'll give them to you. You can take with you and all that. He said, no, that's all right. I got my songs laid out. He said, but we'll talk about your songs too as soon as I get back. Now I'm excited, see, because this is, my plan is I can get him to produce me. You got it? On my So while we're talking and everything, we go to the dryer, have some more conversation. I'm in one dryer, he's in the other. And I'm so excited about it, I kind of pass out sleeping, because the dryer is only here forever. And when I wake up, he's gone. Anyway, he stayed for maybe about a month and a half, in that order. I get a call from him to come to his apartment and they want to have a meeting. Man, I grabbed my best song, about 10 of them, and I'm ready. So I get to his apartment, and he lived in what we call a ghetto fabulous apartment. You had to push the buzzer, you better grab it before the door closed and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a little shocked at that because I'm looking for him to be in, something really special with a hit on Jackie Wilson. So I said, okay. So I'm walking down the hall to his apartment on the first floor, and he's standing there, buzzed me in. He got the phone in his hand, on the phone, in his shorts. So I said, man, this guy's got a lot of heart. So I'm walking in. I get into this place. He said, let me see your song. Let me hear your songs. So I'm looking around for a piano or something. He got no piano. As a matter of fact, the shades is falling down on the window. And you got one chair over there and phone in his hand. I'm saying, man, this guy's really cheap. I'm thinking to myself. He was not excited about no goods in the place. He just business, you know what I'm saying? So I started singing my song. He's still on the phone. I'm singing 3, 4, 5 songs. And he said, man, you got some pretty good songs. I said, wait a minute. Let me play the one that's going to be a hit on me. And he said, a hit on you? I said, yeah. He said, I say you got some pretty good songs, man, but your voice is for shit. And I said, wait a minute. Sorry about that for you people, but I had to tell it like it is. I said, what? I went to put my music in my bag. I said, I don't need this. He said, where you going? I said, man, I come to be an artist. And he said, I didn't bring you here to be an artist. I'm opening my company, and I heard about you, so I want you to be the A&R man for the company. I said, A&R man, what is that? He said, well, it's artist and repertoire, whatever that means. Bottom line is, you want to find artists and talent, the singers, and make hit records. I say, any artist and whoever you think can do what I just said they can do, because I heard you got an ear and all that. I said to myself, can I record myself? he said, if you think you got a hit record, other than that, answer is no. And I said, I don't need this. So I'm walking away. Now I'm walking away from him, and I'm leaving the whole place because I'm a little disappointed at the whole idea. And I remember my mom said to me, if you want to do something, you feel you got a knack at it, you got to work on it. You got to try it. You learn how things are not mistakes. They're for knowledge and information. You know what not to do the next time. And that never left my head. I'm walking down the hall. I turned around and I walked back to it. I said, A&R man, now what does this guy do? We repeated it. I said, okay. I said, how much you paying? He said, $5 a week and all the chili you can eat. So I said,
now, Mickey, what year was this?
Oh, man, come on. In the beginning. You got to look back at the date of the beginning of Motown, because that's when it was.
So $5 back then still wasn't any money, was it?
It was nothing. That's the whole idea. I ain't needed $5. I was making more money with the musicians than he could possibly give me. But the idea was the thing. And I had respect for his songs, Reet Petite and all that kind of stuff. And his writing and his producing, and Jackie Wilson made him. I said, man, whatever he's got, I want some of that. You know what I'm saying? But the $5, And the chili, I didn't think about none of that stuff. So I said, okay. I said, now who do I report to? He said, me. I said, let me get this straight. You and me? He said, that's it. I said, whatever I bring in, I ain't got to talk to nobody about it. He said, if you believe in it and you bring it, I'm going along with you. That's what I got you here. I said, you and me, that's it. He said, that's it. He said, you do anything you think that can make this company great. I said, anything? He said, how many times you want me to repeat this? Like that. He was very arrogant, you know what I'm saying? I said, okay. And I said, when do I start? He said, you already started. It was almost as if he knew I was going to take that gig. You know what I'm saying?
So Mickey, what was Barry like as a person back then?
Determined, total fixed determination against any odds. And me being the same kind of person, it was easy for me to see that he had that thing. You know what I mean? And with the hit records and all that, now he's got experience and knowledge. So come on. That's one of the best things to deal with. The heart, to go for it, and some experience and knowledge to have a path to get to it. You got me? And so I said, okay. Just as I was saying, okay, I'll take the job, especially since I ain't got to report to nobody, do whatever I think can make it happen. That was a comfort for me because it's not a job already. It's not a job. You got it? Here comes Smokey walking down the hall. And I said, he's passing me. Barry said, Smokey said, hey, Barry, what is Mickey doing here? He said, you know him? He said, yeah, he got a group. He be singing around, and me and him, we be battling with our groups, in the city, blah, 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 blah. He said, yeah. He said, I just took him on as the A&R man for our company. He said, oh, man, that's great. He said, man, I got to have a bass player and a drummer, for tomorrow. I got a session tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, you got it. And I was walking away, and Barry said, hold it. He said, you said you need a bass player and a drummer. You say he got it. And Smokey said, hold it. If Mickey say, I got it, I got it. He knows exactly what to do. That was the beginning of our understanding amongst the three of us. You with me? Not a question. You say you can do it, do it. You got me? And of course, I had him a bass player and a drummer, and they're the best ones for what he's doing. So that was the beginning of our relationship.
So Mickey,
just a handshake. You got it?
So now, Mickey, not having any experience in A&R, what was the first thing you did to get things going?
Well, the A&R part never fazed me till later on down the line. The idea of getting people that can perform or play, that's part of what it is, but that was what I did naturally. I mean, I would find, the right bass players for the sessions that Clarence and I were on, or the best drummer, or whatever. And if we had some background singers and we pick out somebody to do some background, and I didn't hear it when they sang it, thank you very much, next. It's got nothing to do with them. It's about what I'm hearing in my head, from what I learned from my mom and my heart. Are you with me? I developed, let's say, I recognized that I had a gift for that. And I don't mean that like special. I mean that like God has given all of us gifts. Some of us 2 and 3 gifts. And every time I said it to people, they say, what are you talking about? I said, it's a natural thing that you could do without even any practice or anything on it. It's the beginning of what you can do with that gift given to you. You'll get signs of it. And of course, I've had arguments with that. And the only way I can explain to others who resist that thinking, I say, well, let's take a Stevie Wonder. And one day there was a kid named Sugar Child Robinson. You may not remember him, little blind black guy, little kid could play. I said, let's take a Stevie Wonder. He can feel the piano, never took a lesson in his life. He only hears what comes in his ear. He sits there and plays it and sings. Wouldn't you call that a gift?
Absolutely.
Why can't everybody do that? Because that's not their gift. Now we have gifts, not just one gift. God gives us 2 and 3 gifts. We get turned around or away from that by listening to others telling us what we should not be doing, what we can't do. If we ignore that conversation, we could be good at 3 or 4 things. But in time alone messes with that. Hate to take you on another trip, but that's the bottom of what this is really all about.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, Mickey. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back with more questions from Mr. Mickey Stevenson, as well as in his book, the day he met Stevie Wonder through one of his buddies and interaction. It was very interesting. You don't want to miss this. I'm Sherrod. We'll be right back right after this. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sherrod, the television show. We are speaking to the iconic Mr. Mickey Stevenson, the first A&R in Motown, the man that became Motown. We're talking about his wonderful book, as well as his experiences. Buy it today, buy it tomorrow, but you better buy it, ladies and gentlemen. This book is absolutely fabulous. Now, Mickey, when it came down to Smokey Robinson, you were mentioning him just a moment ago. So you all were friends before you got signed on with Motown?
Oh yeah, we knew each other because we were, we around high school we would be battling for the parties, and what group was the best one, because I had my group, he had his group. I'd wear him out because I was doing jazz and pop, and he was doing R&B. You know what I mean? And so it was a battle all the time. Who would get the gig and who'd get the money? You know what I mean? But we were friends, and if he knew where a job was that he didn't take and it would be better for me, he'd tell me, or I'd tell him, take the group over there and whatever. So we happened to have that kind of relationship back then. And it only got greater. He knew Barry before I did, you see, because I think he went to be an artist with Barry. And that's why Barry decided he would do the Miracles as one of the main groups on the label. So that just worked out amazing, but this was all, in my opinion, all a given thing by the man upstairs. It was all laid out for us at the right time for a reason, because it came together without contracts, arguments, fights. It just came together with our hearts. So it wasn't coming to do a job, it was coming to win. Two different ball games.
You know one thing so interesting, Mickey, is that all the artists I've had on the show and people, ask this question, they said Motown is the one that put doo-wop out. Motown was responsible for phasing out doo-wop, and doo-wop was incredible. Is that correct?
I would say so, because we brought music to a sound from our gifted heritage and race.
Wow.
It was there, only we were given the gift to bring it out. Not just me, not just Smokey, not just Barry, not just Holland and Dozier, all of us. It took all of us. And that's a few people in this huge world. You got it? Now, to get the sound out and to get it played and get it where people can really hear it and get with it was a whole nother world. Producing it is one thing. Promoting it and get it out where the people could hear it is a whole nother thing. And we were in the battle of all of it against tremendous odds. But for us, and I say us, is that we didn't consider that odds. We considered the battle, but forget the odds. Let's figure out each move and how we're going to move each thing.
Now, Mickey, it's some interesting things. First of all, the story of how Martha from the Vandellas became your secretary, but how she annoyed you so much to want to get signed that you didn't even recognize her talent, as you were saying in your book, until you heard her sing one day, but she was a doggone good secretary. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, Martha was determined to be on Motown. And I met her in a club somewhere. I think it was I can't think of the name of the club in Detroit. I met her there singing, and I liked her voice and everything. I said, okay, why don't you come by? So you got something special. And that was the beginning. But she came, Martha would not give up. And, you know, when I would audition maybe 25, 30 people every weekend. I mean, it got to be so, it was so terrible till I would find a ways to get out of the building before they catch me, you know what I mean? But I had some people would be waiting in the back. When I get to my car, they stand there waiting. And I didn't want to upset them because if they had the heart to get around there and wait, I got to have the heart to listen. So I said, okay, what'd you do? He said, well, I'm a singer. I said, okay, start singing. He said, start singing. I got to get to a piano and all that. I said, watch this. And I sang, well, baby, why don't you come back to me? Now, I didn't say, I ain't got no piano. Now, until you can do that, don't bother me no more. I go like that. See? Anyway, Martha was persistent. She wanted to be on Motown. And I come in to my office. She had got to know my secretary very well, I might add, because she was always around. And she, my secretary at the time was leaving very soon, her and her husband going to another city. And so she had Martha on my desk when I come in my office on the phone, answering my calls. And I'm looking at Martha. I said, what are you doing? She said, put her finger up like, just a minute. Well, Mr. Stevenson would be so-and-so, such and such. She's talking like I ain't even standing there. She took the message, she wrote it down. I said, wait a minute, who told you? She said, hey, hang on. She said, this call came in so-and-so. This person here says very important, and this one I think you better call back right away. So I'm looking at the message. I'm still a little pissed off. But look at the message, and I said, don't you go nowhere. I said, but get the person on the phone for me. By the time we finished all that, I said to Martha, you know, my girl is leaving. You want to be a job? I said, but first signing you as an artist, I said, right now I got girls up to here, so hang on for a minute with that. But I'll take you on as a secretary. She said, working here? I said, yeah. She said, I'll work with you. I ain't gonna be no secretary. I'll be your assistant. And I was saying to myself, boy, she got a lot of nerve. You know what I mean? Which I like a lot of nerve. I said, okay, you be my assistant. And then as I was walking out, I said, I'll be right back. As I was leaving, going up to the other office, I saw my secretary was leaving. I said, is this a plan? Did y'all plan this thing out? She said, well, I was leaving. I want you to have somebody that could handle you and blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, very good. That's how Martha got in tight. So I told Martha, I said, now, I stay late. I said, you go 9 to 5 is the gig, but me, I may not leave here till 11, 12 o'clock at night and all that. She says, I leave when you leave. I said, wait a minute, I'm not paying for no overtime. And I'm just letting you know. She says, I ain't asking for no overtime. I'm saying, as your assistant, I leave when you leave. You ain't got to pay me nothing overtime. Now I'm getting a whole nother thing. I said, man, she's determined. You know what I mean? And I like that though in people. You know, when you find somebody, man, I said, okay, you're on. And sure enough, she would be there. I mean, if I'm there till 1 o'clock, she'd be there till 1 o'clock. And now when I'm there, Smokey's there and everybody, we were still working because we know that was not just a job. It was home. It was a creative energy going at all times. You with me?
And you mentioned in your book that Hitsville, USA just felt like a place you never wanted to leave. Never. It was the room, every room, it felt like creative, something wonderfully, beautifully creative in the works. Tell us a little bit about what it was like being in Hitsville, USA.
Well, what I did was, and I got to say this because Barry let me do whatever I thought would work. And we bet on a lot of stuff too. We bet $500. As we were making money, we bet up to $1,000 or stuff. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, I can do it. How much is the bet? We go like that. But that was just the fun part. The idea is, can you make it happen? You got it? But what I did was, Brian and Holland, Doja Holland, they had their room. Norman Whitfield had his room. Smokey had his room. I had mine. The piano was open, but nobody was doing nothing. So each of the producers, writers, had some place to go and create. Each room had a tape deck, we used to call it in those days, in it, and the piano. And that was the basic feeling when you walk in. We had a lounge and all that, and the tape library, but when you come in, the producers were in their rooms. What was so wonderful though, you in your room working, and I'm walking by and I hear your song, and I walk in and say, man, play it again. And you play it and you say, man, I'm stuck right here. I may come up with an idea for that moment right there. Oh man, that's great. But it was not of jealousy or envy. It was like, thank you. So we became a family. Now that was the magic of it. Nobody seemed to understand that, but not to take something from you or now I want part of your song. That wasn't even in the picture. That idea was a great idea and I could use that idea. Or you come and give me one. You know what I mean? Then why don't you bring the voices in right here on that part? Oh, fantastic. Because, and that's again, that was to me, as I look back at it, as it developed more and more with love, this was part of the strategy of the man upstairs. You got it? And I have to bring that into the picture because that's the only way these things could have happened. Brothers was fighting each other in the street. Yeah, we were loving each other in a competitive business.
Wow. Wow.
Now that's deep, man.
That very much so. Now, the story of how you signed Stevie Wonder was very interesting because you had a friend that was willing to risk his job. You told him if it did not work out, he was going to get fired.
You're out of here. Not fired, out of here.
And so
remember I told you, Transporter was we were the Sam and Dave. Before I got with Barry, we were the Sam and Dave of Detroit, did a duet. Now I'm coming from a jazz place. Remember I told you I was singing jazz and pop. Clarence Paul taught me about the blues. And he would go through the changes of, he could take any song and make a blues out of it. He had that kind of gift. So down the line, when I got the Motown job and we're cutting, things are moving along and we're doing albums, I hated the albums because all the albums had the bad cuts that didn't work out. So they stick them in the albums. And I said, Barry, this ain't gonna work, man. All of our albums gotta have good product in it. If the song was not to be a hit song, it lost it. We would have contests of which is going to be the one that's first and second record on each artist. You may have 8 songs on this artist. Which is going to be number one? Which is going to be the follow-up? What about the rest of them? They just throw them in. I said, we can't do that. All the songs in that album's got to be good. That's the only way we're going to come over Columbians and the Capitals and RSA Victors. That's the only way we're going to beat them out. All of our stuff's got to be good. He said, what you going to do? I said, I'm going to get Clarence Paul, and he's going to be in charge of all the album fillings. That's his job. So now he's got to listen to everything cut on the artist, pick out, we don't already know what the first 2 tracks are going to be, and pick out the best other 5 or 6 songs in that album. And the ones that he think could be something, give it back to the producers, let them rewrite them and reproduce them and fix them so we don't lose the songs, but make this even better. This ain't nothing. And we don't want to put it in the album because it didn't work on the artist that you were recording. So that was his job. And since Barry said, well, why him? I said, because he got a gift with that. I don't have the patience. You ain't got the patience. Somebody got to be patient enough to go through every song and say, no, could you put someone do something else with this to the producer? And so now by the time that's been 20, 30 minutes on that, I could be doing something else, you see? So we said, okay, how much you pay him? I said, is this my job? He said, yeah. I said, I got that covered. Anyway, get right to the bottom line. At one point, Clarence Paul said to me, hey man, can I produce one of the major artists? I said, well, not right now, because the producers are coming up with the hits. I can't take them off and put you on. That's crazy. He said, I'm not, I can't do anything. Won't let me do nothing. Just taking care of the album, the fill-ins. I want to do something. I'm creative too. And with the crying and stuff. And I'm saying, okay, man, let's have a meeting in a couple of days. Let me figure out what I can do. Now I'm thinking, for me, I got to let him go because I cannot pull Smokey or Brian or Norman or somebody off of these artists. That ain't going to happen. And I don't want to be in an embarrassing position with him. So I decided I was going to let him go, give him a couple of months' salary, blah, 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 and let that be it. So the meeting day come up with me and him. He said, before you get started, what you got to say, he said, I got something I want to ask you. I said, okay, what is it? He said, well, I want to either get a major artist or I got to leave. See, I'm not blaming you for it. You explained to me about what's going on. He said, but I can't do this. This is just boring and blah, blah, blah. He said, but I found this little kid that I'd like to do a couple of songs on him. And I'm getting relieved because he's taking me off the hook. So I said, okay, 2 songs? He said, yeah, 2 songs. I said, okay, that's good. He said, one more thing. I said, what's that? He said, well, he's about 10 or 11 years old. I said, 10 or 11 years old? What are you talking about, man? He said, hold it, William R. Now, my word's my bond. I'll make a deal with you. I stick to my word, and nothing can change that. He said, you gave me a word. You said I can do it. I said, okay, man. Okay. You get a couple of songs on it. He said, one more thing. I said, what is that? He said, the guy's really great, man. He's really special. But I just want to see if it's going to come up with the record. I said, oh, you said all that. What's the other thing? He said, he's blind. I said, oh, shit, get out of here, man. You're going to bring a blind kid, 11 years old, in this building, all these stairs, all this stuff out there. I said, that guy fall down there and get hurt, Barry going to shoot me and I'm going to kill you. I said, that ain't going to happen. He said, well, you gave me your word. Your word is your word, man. I said, Clarence, he said, man, the guy's really got some special stuff. I said, you bring that little wonder kid. That was my line to him. You bring him in here. I want to see him and you hand in hand. Wherever I see him, I better see you. Now, with that in mind, you got it. He said, now, and he said, I said, and she said, Clarence said to me, okay, now what did you want to talk to me about? I said, how about getting out of here? 2 weeks later, he comes back with Stevie. Now, we just finished the session and everybody's winding down. Clarence comes down in the studio, brings Stevie, walks over to the drum at Benny Benjamin. When they still, have bands wind down, they're getting out. And Clarence looked at Benny Benjamin, and Benny's like, you want to play the drum? Give him the look. He said, yeah. So Benny got out the way. Stevie gets in, sits in the drum seat, feels where the drums are. Now the band is still kind of wind down. They still playing. Then he starts playing. Makes a run. Kick the bam. Benny said, get out of here. Clarence took him by the hand, took him off the drum, walked over to the organ player, Earl Van Dyke. Everybody's looking down. Now the band is kind of cooking like that. They weren't looking for that, right? Earl Van Dyke know exactly what's coming. He gets off the organ. Stevie sits down on the organ, feels it with his finger, and he goes right into the pocket and key. He gets off of the organ, walks over to the microphone, which is hanging there, reaches in his pocket, pulls out the harmonica, and started blowing. Then he started saying, I leave the studio. I go right to my phone, call my lawyer friend. I said, man, I got this little kid in here. He's about 11 years old. I need some questions. Now, what happens when I'm asking all the questions? He gave me all the answers I need. I go straight over to Barry's office. I say, Barry, we got this little kid over here. He's about 10, 11 years old. Phenomenal. I want to sign him right now. He said, what? You know what? I said, Barry, save the words. I already checked out. We got to have a tutor with him. You got to be at such a time. I said, I got all the information. You did all that? I said, because I want to sign it. Am I the A&R man here? He said, yeah. I said, this is one of the most phenomenal gifts I've ever seen. And, I've seen a lot of gifts. He said, are you sure? I said, come on, man. Can I go back to work? He's going to keep all the contracts in the drawer, right? I said, give me one of them contracts. He pulled it out, just toss it at me like, get out of here. That's how Stevie Wonder got signed. You got it?
Wow. Now, for those who are just tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking to the iconic Mr. Mickey Stevenson. We're going to take one more commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the relationship between Mickey and the legendary Marvin Gaye. You don't want to miss this one. I'm Sherrod. We'll be right back right after this. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Sherrard, the television show, on our special Sunday conversation with the iconic Mr. Mickey Stevenson on the Sherrard Show. Now, Mickey, what a story about Stevie Wonder and how it happened. But when you spoke in your book about Marvin Gaye, you said there was an instant connection between you two. That was like you all were friends from a long time ago. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when Barry brought Marvin in, Barry's sister had another label in the city with us. Wasn't competition. She just had a label before we started dealing with our thing. As it got better, then Barry decided he would absorb that label, make it all one operation, which was a great idea. On her label, she had Harvey Fuqua, who was the Moonglows. Some of your people remember them. 60 Seconds of Love, all that. Okay. And Harvey Fuqua was a very good producer and writer. And he had the Moonglows. And he had Marvin as one of his singers leading for the Moonglows. So when that company kind of went out of business, Harvey took Marvin and they came to Detroit to get with Anna's label. And he's going to help her build her line. Well, now when we take over the label, we get Marvin, we get Harvey, and we get Lamont Dozier, who was the piano player singer at that time, over there. And so they all come under contract with us. So Barry is coming off and said, man, this guy Marvin Gaye, I want to hit on him. Now I thought he was just absorbing the label to keep making just one family business and forget about it. You know what I mean? Because nothing happened with that label over there. Uh-huh. And but as a businessman, he and being it's all family, he just made it one deal so he can have everything working on one accord, which I agree 100%. But the artist over there wasn't nothing happening. You know what I mean? I didn't want to waste my time dealing with him. Uh-huh. So he said, man, I want to hit on this guy. I said, hit. I said, can I talk to you for a minute, Barry? Let me go to the side. I said, this guy walking around with a tuxedo on, bow tie, you want to be a Nat King, Andy Williams or somebody like that. We don't that way. That's not our business. Uh-huh. Said, so I'm getting to hit him. That ain't gonna happen. He said, wait a minute, you the A&R man here, right? I said, yeah. He said, you say you can do anything, right? Uh-huh. I said, yeah. He said, then give me a hit on this guy. He said, I don't care what kind of hit it is. I want to hit on this artist right there. Now, can you do that? I said, well, that's a different ball game. I said, okay, this is going to cost you $1,000. He said, we bid $500. I said, on this one, it's going to cost $1,000. I got to change his mind. I got to change his thinking. I got to get him out them suits he got on. That's going to take a lot of time. And for that, the bet's $1,000. Now, we got a deal tonight. He said, you got a deal. Now, Marvin hearing this conversation because we're in the same room. So Marvin said, I don't know what you think you're up to, man. I'm here to do jazz. I say, I will do a jazz album with you. Get that straight. That's my first music was jazz. So look me up. You can check it out. I'll do a jazz album with you. I say, but right now, let's get to know each other. Uh-huh. I just want to do any song. It's got to be something that's going to be a winner. So let's get to know each other. I see you write some songs and all that. Let's write some songs together. Get to know each other. He said, okay. Like he was saying, okay, I whatever you want to do, but as long as you're going to do what I want to do, I'll do what you want to do. That was the attitude, which worked for me. So we started writing songs for other artists. I told him, for other artists. This is for the Contours, this is for so-and-so. So we writing. And every time I would sing a line, like, oh, baby, I love you, why don't you come home? Whatever I'm saying. Then he comes, why don't you? I said, no. You got to sing it like I'm singing. You got to go to church. You know what I mean? You come from church, don't get all proper, get soulful like this. So we started doing that. Until he got tired of it. I said, okay, hold that song. Let's work on another song. Now in those days, we had the tape recorders where, you had to have a razor blade, you can slice it, remember those? And put a piece of tape on it, and then you could play it back.
Oh no, you going back now. I remember those.
Sorry about that. But in those days, they had a splicing block. You put your tape on the splicing block, and it's cut at an angle, and you can take another one, cut at an angle, put those together and run smooth. You couldn't cut it straight this way. You had to cut it at an angle, right? And you can cut out anything and put anything next to it. So every room that we had for the producers, they had a tape deck and the splicing block. So they can cut stuff out and close things up and check it out. So I'm working with Marvin. We got very close. We work all night and come over to my house and eat, and then we go right back to the studio, and he was enjoying himself. Now we're working on 3 or 4 songs. So at the right time, 2 months later now than we started, I brought him into my office. I said, okay, I want you to hear something. And I played this tune, Stubborn Kind of Fella, that we worked on for the other act. But he heard, I pulled all my verses out, closed all his up. So he heard himself consecutively singing the song. And he said, man, that sounds pretty good. I said, very soulful. He said, yeah. I said, now, Marvin, why don't you do this tune for me? Take me off the hook with Barry, and I'll do a jazz album on you. He said, you do that? I said, check around him. When I say my word's my bond. Yes. He said, but I may not be able to consistently go like that. I said, hold it. When you put the earphones on, anything that's not flowing, I'll sing it in your ear. Now you sing better than me, so you know it's gonna make it sound better. You just want to hear it the right way. He said, okay, I'll do that with you. So we did. After about 3 or 4 takes, he didn't need me singing because he began to float. And when he finished, I took that, made a dub out of it, and I was going over to Barry's office. He coming downstairs. He said, how's it going? I said, give my money. He said, give you money. I said, give me my $1,000. He said, what are you talking about? I ain't heard nothing. I said, here, take it upstairs and play it. He went upstairs, came back downstairs about 5 minutes later, opened his wallet, pulled it out to me, and said, how'd you do that, man? I said, you don't want to know. That was the beginning of Marvin Gaye.
You know, Mickey, one thing that was always been known is that Marvin Gaye's idol was Sam Cooke. So initially he used to try and sing like Sam Cooke until I believe you got him out of that.
Yeah, but that was a beautiful flow. No, Sam always had a nice flowing voice. Mm-hmm. His voice flowed, you know, no matter how terrible the song is or what it was about loving you, baby, it was always loving you, baby. He always had a flow. Marvin always had something he wanted to say, which was not a flow. It was a tough, resistant thing. Mm-hmm. Marvin had it. Norman Whitfield had it. They had another thing they wanted to be known about them, about how they looked at the situation. And Marvin and Marvin Gaye and Norman Whitfield had that same thing. And I saw them both of them. It was amazing. But anyway, when he got to hearing himself sing, he was not in the way he wanted to be, but he was on his way. And the more he started producing and writing, those moments, you could hear them, even in his love songs, you could hear some roughness in there. So when he got a chance to do it, what's going on? It was already there in him. Now he could really bring it to the table and anything like that. You with me?
Oh, I'm with you. And it's so much, it was such a fascinating story about you all's connection and Stubborn Kind of Fella. That was the first hit, his first hit on Motown, correct?
Yeah.
And then it went from
Joy
there.
was after that. You are my pride and joy, and I love you, baby. Remember that one?
Absolutely. Now, Mickey, you also produced an album and also have a few songs out as well. Is that correct?
And that's a whole nother ballgame. Not on Motown. This was years later.
Exactly. But we can still find that on YouTube, some of your songs, correct?
Yeah. That was a strange deal. What happened with that deal was there was a girl in London who had a big television show. And it was a show where her assistant, he had a hat, he could throw it and it'd stick in the wall and all that. It was a weekly television show about, they were like, they worked together. She was huge in London. And her manager, he knew I produced a lot of, they did the Righteous Brothers and all that kind of stuff. And he said, would you produce my artist on an album? And so I said, well, is she a singer? He said, well, she's not a singer, but she can sing. He said, but she's huge in London and she'll sell a lot of albums. So I said, well, if she can't sing, most of our artists can't sing. He said, I'm telling you, man, I'll give you $50,000. I said, you give me $50,000. Let me hear her. So I listened to her. I said, okay, that's interesting. All right, I'll do. I'm gonna give her the songs, but I want her to learn them like I'm giving it to them. Don't try to add nothing because she's not a singer. Don't be trying to get all cute. Just sing it just like I give it to her. He said, well, how you gonna do that? I said, I'm gonna sing the stuff down, and I give you 2 or 3 of them at a time. You bring it back in America. We'll dub those in. We'll do it like that. For that, I'll take the deal. He said, I said, and as long as it's my songs, I can't lose either way. I get the royalties as a writer and a producer and blah, blah, blah. So, and the cash. So he said, okay. So sure enough, I started doing that. After I got past the first 3 songs, he said, man, you sound pretty good yourself. I said, yeah, right. Tell her just say it. Don't add nothing. Don't get carried away. Just stick with the song. Then I get the next 3. The next 3 songs I get. He said, man, why don't you do an album? I said, me, I'm not a singer. I'm a producer, writer. He said, man, but you sound pretty good with these demos you're giving her to sing. I said, no. He said, I'll give you $25,000 if you do an album. I said, thank you very much, but Now I give her the next 3 songs. Now we're in the 9 songs. He said, I tell you what, man, I'll give you $40,000 if you do an album. I said, you give me $40,000. He said, yes. I said, this phone album don't sell no records. He said, that's my problem. That's not your problem. And I said, nah, forget all that. So now it's in the last 3 songs. He said, I give you $50,000 right now if you do it now. I said, that's kind of hard for me to turn down. I said, wait a minute. What song? He said, any songs. I said, any songs? He said, yeah. So I said to myself, I'm going to do these songs I'm giving to him on her because that ain't going nowhere. So I said, okay, I'm going to do some of the same songs that I'm giving you to your artist. Will you buy that? He said, I don't care what the songs are. He said, she going to sell hers anyway because she got fans as a TV star. But this will be different. I said, okay, you got a deal. So it didn't take much for me to do. I just dubbed in on my own songs, right? Sure enough, he gave me the money. And it started moving some product out there. He died before he could really get it working up, you know. And
now, what year was this, Mickey?
Man, years. I'm one of the person that don't know nothing about years. I don't buy years. I don't buy birthdays. I don't even think of those things. And I never even consider it. I have to go back and try to calculate how old was I then and what year was that. I got to go like that, see. So I don't even deal with it. I don't even do it. I deal with here and now, and even my own sons and daughters, I don't even know how old they are.
Oh, no. Well, Mickey, I've taken enough of your time. This was a wonderful, wonderful conversation to have. I don't want to tell everybody the book because I want them to go out and buy it. So make sure you all out there, you purchase this book, because we were just talking about a tip of the iceberg. It's absolutely incredible book. I will leave a link right there on your monitors. You can just click it and purchase the book. Maybe Mickey will autograph it like mine. I don't know. But what I do know, it is an awesome, awesome book. Mickey, do you have any final words this evening?
Yes. My whole purpose in doing interviews, and this is one of the best ones with you, I mean, talking with you is a joy.
Thank you.
Is to let people know, our people know, and others, that we have gifts. Gifts is given to us by God. If they accept that, they can do almost anything. And the problem with it is the negative forces, which is always in the picture, will find ways of telling you, oh, why are you doing that? That ain't nothing, but you're doing that for. Whatever negative things to get you off the gift is going to always be there. And I say we have gifts, and all these gifts come to us for purposes. Now, the moment we think we're the ones, and it's all how great I am business, now you're in a bad shape. You're in a bad way. Because you've taken the gift and use it for another purpose. That's not the reason God gave it to you. And I say that for this reason. You can't even grow hair on your own head. So there's a source out there that has us here.
Amen.
If you did, you'd do something, whatever you do anything, right?
Amen.
So those are the gifts given us. So my job, in my mind's eye, is to make sure that I make that clear to those who want to hear. Now, if you don't want to hear it, that's up to you. But I'm here to tell you, you got great gifts, and they never go away. Just work with them. And once you recognize them, you can do anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the legendary Mickey Stevenson. You heard him right here on Sherrard, the television show. I'm so honored. One of the greatest guests to ever be on the show. Mickey, thank you so much for being on the show. And stay tuned on our next episode where we have the lovely Dionne Warwick stopping by the show, as well as public announcement. We're so excited. Thank you again, all my team for making this happen, as well as my man, Andre Pittman. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to soar with the Eagles, stop hanging around turkeys. I'm Sherrard. See you next time. Bye-bye now.